Hello, everybody. Welcome to our podcast. Today, in our first ever episode, our first guest is Mutrix.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. How do you think people would describe you in Roblox?
Oh well, that's a good question. I don't know. I think most of what I've done in the past is related to building and 3D, but nowadays there's a lot of stuff going on with multiple experiences or games and also events. So maybe some might notice me as a UGC creator, others as a 3D artist, and others as a game developer.
Nice. When did you join Roblox?
Oh, it's been a while. I used to say it was a whole decade, but it's going to be 14 years. Even it's going to be 15 years in January.
Oh, wow, 2010. Times have changed since then. Um,
Yeah.
what games do you remember most fondly from them from then until now? Maybe some that aren't the usual answers that people give.
Oh well, I used to play this game a lot. You might remember it. Apocalypse Rising.
Uh huh.
The first version was one of my favorite games ever. I also used to be a sword fighter. And back when sword fighting was a thing and people used to have groups and take it very seriously, I used to play sword fight tournament and all these like super niche sword fighting games.
Cool. Were you a good rank in one of those groups?
I was pretty good. I remember it's been a while, but like I used to be decent. I think I climbed the ladder in a couple of them.
So you were telling me that you used to do UGC. Is that something you are not active on anymore?
Not really. Yeah, I applied to UGC back when it was application only. I think there were only like 200 people on the like project or that had access to even create UGC. Back then, it was pretty fun. It was a small community, and it was worth the time. But I feel like nowadays, with all UGC being public and how many people have gone involved, I don't really feel like it's worth it anymore. So no, I don't do UGC anymore.
Do you think the horizon of UGC changed that much since it came public?
Yeah, I actually believe the horizon has changed a lot, especially as UGC became public and there's barely any proper moderation for the items. You've probably seen it, but the catalog is full of all these dominus and limited items, ripoffs and copies. And I think just the value of being a UGC creator went down exponentially. I think that people still can make a living out of it. There's people that still do it consistently and overall might be worth it for some people. But I think before there was a lot of value into being a UGC creator, and it was exciting, and it was something you want to care about and worry about. But nowadays, everyone just goes above the rules, and it's not the same community anymore.
Wow. Damn, that's harsh. Because I think like it changed a lot for the better. Like I think both of us use like most of our accessories we use are UGC made. It's not something like the
Yeah,
the options were opened up a lot since Roblox introduced UGC, and yeah, like if coming from inside, if that's the like your view of the situation, like something should be done about it. But on a brighter side, what used to be like the genres of items or like the style that you used to like the most when making UGC?
yeah. I actually really went for this cartoony, simplistic, colorful style. It's a fun story because most people like creating realistic or like uh, trendy items that maybe resonate more with the younger audiences and with the older audiences too. But I always loved this cartoony, colorful, simplistic style, and that's always what identifies me. And when I applicate for when I applied for the UGC program, I submitted 25 items. You had to submit 25 items, and all of them were cartoony and simplistic. And I got accepted into the program, and that was like very cool to see that Roblox was still pushing forward for styles like that, and that that style of items was not like outdated or wrong.
Nice. Yeah, I think there's a fit for everything. That's what I like about Roblox actually. Like one of the strong things it has is like whatever you do, um,
Yeah.
whoever you are and whatever you like, there's something for you out here. And
Yeah, exactly. Even these podcasts, like this is you can do anything. That's what so cool about it.
yeah, yeah, and like even with the like, I love the style that of the heads moving and how we can like actually have a conversation. Like you feel right here,
Yeah.
just with our virtual avatars. It's amazing that like how far it's come since we joined the platform. You like almost 15 years ago. I joined in 2009. Like remembering like the little actual blocks, like none of
Yeah.
like this complex meshes used to be back then. How far it's come. So talk
Yeah.
about like journeys. Um, how's what's your journey in Roblox been?
Yeah, I think probably I would say right now it's probably 70% of my journey has been as a player. I started at 2010. I was a kid and I just enjoyed just playing and enjoying time with my friends and with my cousin. And that was very exciting. I actually remember that era of Roblox very nicely, probably because I was a kid and there was nostalgia to it and all that stuff. But 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I started developing and started creating stuff, building worlds, creating assets in Blender, and importing them over to Roblox. And I started doing freelance work. Started doing like commissions for maps, for cartoony pets, or everything that you can imagine. I think I've done everything, absolutely everything that you can, everything and anything you can think of. And it was about 3 years ago where I got my first full time job at a studio called Wonderwork Studios, which created experiences that some people might know, like Overlook Bay and other like horror games and stuff like that. Since then, it's been a pretty cool experience of working with brands, working with other people. I spent a couple months with Wonderwork Studios and then moved to a company called Spectral Studios, which was owned by some pretty big YouTubers, very cool people, Little Lisa and Tiny Turtle. And basically, I created worlds and maps and assets for a variety of games. I think their main games called World Defenders. But the most important part of my journey, I think, started around 2 years ago, or like, yeah, it's gonna be like two and a half, when I started working with Sawhorse, which is a studio that works in Roblox, but specializes in brand activations and experiences. And since then, it's been an incredible journey of working with hundreds of brands. The list goes on and on, but some of you might recognize Lamborghini, Walmart, Kung Fu Panda, Olivia Rodrigo, Carly Kloss, Tommy Hilfiger, Aloe, Elton John, and the list keeps going on. And I've had the opportunity to go to.
So we had a little hiccup there, a technical hiccup. So you were saying you've worked with this many brands. How does that look from the inside? Like, can you walk us through like how everything goes, how the brand maybe approaches you, or you approach the brand? How do you like think out what the experience is gonna be, how they're gonna be reflected on the platform and stuff?
Yeah, it's a very professional and sometimes you might say like slow process, but there's so many pro team members that make it easy and smooth. But basically what happens, it's either a brand or ourselves will reach out. If we reach out, we'll probably do like a pitch and show them what we can do, make some custom art for them, show them like how amazing it would be if they work with us. But sometimes it's easier than that. Sometimes they will literally reach out and be like, "Hey, I want to do this," and we have a great team of game designers, level designers, creative directors, art manager, technical managers. There's so many people that work together to making sure that the games make sense, the games are fun, the community appreciates it, that the quality, both development wise and art wise, is the best. And yeah, and then we just get the project and start working.
Nice. Is Do you have any of your projects that like stands out more for you that you distinctly remember as something you were really hyped about working on?
Yeah, actually, I think the coolest one ever, and this goes back to my personal hobbies and what I like to do. I'm a very car guy. I really like looking at cars and knowing about them. And when we got the Lamborghini project, that was extremely exciting. I was super happy to be able to work on a project like that, to meet the Lamborghini brand owners and people who work over there in Italy, and work with cars, create the meshes, the roads, the whole race system. That was very, very exciting, which led later to me purchasing a very expensive UGC, the Lamborghini Bullhead, and going on a trip to Italy to get to know the factory and seeing the cars, how they make it, how it works from the inside. So that was a whole experience.
Nice. You've like that was the first thing like a UGC or like actual experience sold through Roblox, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was not only the first experience to the first UGC to ever provide an in real life experience, but it was also the most expensive UGC ever sold on the platform, I think.
Wow. How much was it?
I think it was 3 copies, and I purchased the second one for 1.5 million Robux.
Wow. I wish I had 1.5 million Robux.
Yeah, it was a crazy decision, but I don't regret it. It was worth every penny.
Wow, I'm sure. Um, so is Roblox, well, it sounds like it's your main thing, but I gotta make sure. Is it your main thing or do you also balance it with other stuff outside of the platform?
Well, that's a good question. I actually, there's always this meme, Roblox developers touching grass, and they should like go out and live life, and I resonate with that a little bit. I used to dedicate my life to this platform entirely,
Mhm.
but like 1 year from the since well, from now, I would say,
1 year ago.
I started, yeah, like a year ago, I started to enjoy more of existence, traveling, going out, going to the gym. I really like sports. I do archery, and I like running, and I just try my best to like also see the outside,
Mm.
and I think a lot of people have this issue of just like going so deep into the platform and working on stuff that they forget that there's a whole world outside of this screen.
Mm.
And but that is like on the things I like to do and hobbies and stuff. But outside of like Roblox for work, I don't do any other work outside of Roblox.
You also, I have down here, you're in the Roblox Architects group. You have the rank Extraordinary. Um, how did this come to be?
Oh, that's a good question. So it comes from the beginning of Roblox, like a decade ago, where the building groups was a thing. So basically, for those who don't know, there used to be, there still exists, but actively there used to be groups that you could apply to, which basically the whole purpose of them is just to showcase and recruit the best builders and modelers of the world, of the Roblox world. And there was this very, very I think the biggest or most recognizable one is called EVR, which is Elite Builders of Robloxia. And since then, it's always been like this question of like, oh, maybe I should apply to these ones and maybe I could get inside and be part of this cool group. But of course, that takes a lot of time and dedication, and EVR is one of the hardest ones to enter. But the architects ones is probably like a bit simpler, a bit easier to get inside. And I applied to both, and I got accepted into the architect. And a cool thing too is that I got the extraordinary role right away, even though you're supposed to like get the first one and
Oh,
then apply for the next one and blah blah.
oh,
And I
okay.
got it right away.
Nice. Well, it's good to be recognized that way. Um,
Yeah, thank you.
by the way you speak, I'm getting that these groups aren't as active anymore. Like, I know that like both like the ones you mentioned, like EBR and Roblox Architects, have like these places of communal buildings and stuff. Does that still go on? Are you active?
No, I'm definitely not active as maybe I could probably get more involved, but as I make more things and I get involved into more projects and UGC, Sawhorse, my own games, blah blah blah. Like there's barely any time to build just for passion and for showcasing cool worlds. You're right. There are these like community places where you can go and check out what other people have done. There's these offices where people from the group make their own rooms, and it's a very cool community. But it's definitely very small. I think EVR has like I have no idea, but like less than 4 digits of members, like 300 or something, and Architects has like 2,000. And they're very inactive. If you join the Discord, there's actually not that much like going on. But there's still people that are really dedicated to it. I think it's a very small community, and I should probably invest more time on those.
Well, the one thing we would all like is more time, right? Um,
Yes.
so you've mentioned that you're also working on games now. Do you have anything that's public right now that we could play?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've always liked to develop games in my free time, not only for Roblox and in general, but also for game jams and contests. But when we come down to like experiences that people can play, the main one that I'm working on right now, it's called Mining RNG, which is another RNG game, but there's a twist to it. It's actually retro themed, 8-bit themed, with all these classical Roblox style. And so far, the feedback has been pretty cool because people appreciate that fresh new look. And I've developed other games in the past, but I actually think this is the most relevant right now.
Another good thing from Roblox is how close the community is to the game creators and how like instantaneous the feedback is. And you can just like push an update. Something breaks or there's like
Yeah.
a little feature that you want to add. And you can just be like, oh, there you go. Took me 30 minutes. Here you go. And it's what you asked for. So, coming from all of the different fields of experience that you have in Roblox, so we have UGC, we have building and 3D modeling, environment, artistry, and then finally, like more recently, we have full on solo dev. Um, if someone were to be starting in each of these um, fields, what would you recommend to them? Let's start it with UGC.
Yeah, I think with UGC, it's a complicated one because there's a lot of competition nowadays. It's not the same as it used to be, where the first people that joined would like upload one item and have thousands of sales. But if I had to recommend something, it's just to use community. I think that's very useful with making limited items. Engaging on Twitter with people. What do they want to see? What um, you could do with this UGC. There's a lot of integrations as well. If you buy this UGC, you get access to X experience. You get access to X room. Especially for if you're planning on creating an experience, adding UGC to it can be a very cool thing for engagement.
Oh, cool.
But overall, it's a complicated market.
I hadn't heard about this. Do you know of anyone who's actually using like UGC to give like some sort of a game pass, right? Like some sort of extra thing on experiences?
Yeah, I think I know that it's happening. I don't have like a specific example right now because I haven't really looked into it for a while. But I remember when limiteds became a thing, a lot of people started putting them inside of experiences and being like, if you buy this, you get access to this room, or you get this pet, or you get whatever it is.
It's
Yeah,
back to the old VIP t-shirts that we used to have
yeah,
in the tycoons.
exactly, exactly the same thing.
Okay, so from the building side, from someone who's interested in like making 3D art in any capacity, maybe like smaller like armors and stuff, or to the environment side, what would you recommend? Where to start? What to do? How to get clients even?
There used to be back in the day, the dev forum was a lot better to be able to showcase your portfolio to the people. But I think the Talent Hub has some, um, some potential, and also Twitter is a good place to find some work to do. If you're trying to learn, I think watching some tutorials on YouTube is always useful. It's crazy how much you can learn from tutorials. If you're trying to learn modeling, just try Blender. Just download the Blender software and just get at it. I think I spent like on 2 years. I spent something like, if 2 years is 720 days, I think I did something like 220 days inside of Blender. So like almost a
Like
third or a fourth of my time was
like
inside of
full
that
days,
platform.
like 220 times 24 hours?
That is correct. Yes.
Wow, yeah. Well, I mean, that's like something that's said a lot, you know. You have to like put in the hours. It's like it's not something that's even said.
Yeah.
It's like a logical thing. You have to put in the hours to get good at something.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's the key for anything. If you're looking to get better, literally anything, that's all you have to do. And yeah, there's tricks and secrets, but that's the main way to go.
Is there anybody like any resource you would specifically recommend for starters?
As things progresses, I think tutorials also evolve. I don't have anyone on top of my head. I think if you're trying to learn scripting, you can look at like P-Spot, the scripting tutorials, or Alvin blocks. But also, if you're trying to learn 3D and modeling, you can look into some of traditional Blender tutorials, like the donut tutorial, which is pretty big. And there's also like all these isometric small room tutorials that you can learn quick modeling and low poly. I think just if you don't know where to start, just search. That's why we have internet and connection for. Just search what you want to learn, and you'll find more than enough, more than you can even learn. There's so much stuff out there to improve at one skill or area.
And finally, from all of your skill set, what about someone who's starting a game? There's a lot of debate nowadays. I see it in the forum, um, and not just in Roblox, but like for game devs, for artists. But when you're game dev, you have to like make some hard choices about monetization, about like the style of game you want to go ahead and do. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a complicated topic. Like any other industry, it's you know a lot of competition. There's a lot of factors that matter, and for me specifically, I think mining RNG, which is my last game, I think it's going to be my fourth attempt to making a game. And every single time I created a game, I learned and I got better and better, both at scripting but also at game design, which can be even more important than scripting itself. And understanding how people operate, how their brains work, even in terms of engagement, what they like to see when you're making a tutorial. One of the parts where people stop paying attention, what are the things that people pay attention to? There's so many factors, and it's a bit hard to name them all, but I just have to try and fail and try again. And I've learned from my past games, and I think Mining RNG is doing a lot better because of those learnings and applying, the knowledge to it. And probably I'm also learning a lot from this, and next game is probably going to be even better.
That's the spirit. I heard it once. Like I read this in a book. Everyone has like that capacity to make great art, and like video games and art as well. Um, but the thing is, you have to get out the bad things first. Like to be able to have to make a great thing, you have to like fail beforehand. You have to
Yeah,
like see like stumble and try your best always, but you will probably not get what you want because there's a vision in your head, but you don't know how to get there. And the only way is to like actually like and even though like you have a great idea, like you probably don't know like the things you were saying, like how to engage a player, how to make it like a compelling story. You have an idea of what a compelling story would be, and then you make it and it's boring, and then you fail, and then you
yeah,
make the next one, and the next one's probably going to be better. So for everyone watching, just like keep going.
yeah. Exactly. I think that's a good way to say it. There's this idea that game development takes years, and you need to spend all these years making a game. And sometimes all you need to do is just make something tangible and ship it and make it public and see how people react. And you learn from that, and then go to the next thing and the next thing. And don't overthink it. Don't spend months and years creating something without knowing if it's going to work. And you'll see how fast you improve.
A teacher of mine used to say a lot was the hardest part of making a video game is not actually making the video game, is shipping the video game. Like actually finishing
Hmm.
and being able to say, okay, this is enough, go and play it. That's a hard part. And I think we can all attest
Yeah,
to 100 different projects that we have lying around in our hard drives that we never finished.
exactly. Yeah, I resonate with that a lot. And yeah, that's good advice for everyone watching.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And it's coming to an end today. Thank you for sharing your journey and your tips and your outlook on stuff tonight. I'd like to ask you before you go, is there anybody you're curious about that you would like to see on the podcast next?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of names in the back of my head, but recently I got the opportunity to meet some very cool people at the Lamborghini trip, and I love to see them here talking about their experience on Roblox too. So we have Alvin Vlogs, we have Simon and Muniv and Peacepot. I think
Oh,
any of those four.
I hear some names you've mentioned here before. How was it actually meeting these people that you talked about their tutorials from Peacepod and Alvin? Um, how was it like meeting them? Like someone you met online, like, and then, well, not met, not even met, actually. It's someone like
Yeah.
behind the screen, behind a video. How was it actually meeting them?
It was very cool. It was very cool. Seeing them, seeing their work on the platform for all these years, and as you said, not even meeting them. Like they were complete strangers, but I was just seeing their work inside of the platform, and you'll be surprised how great people they are. Like they're awesome humans, and it's very very cool to see them and be like, oh, you did this. I watched your tutorial. I learned to do this because of you. Or like, oh, you're killing it with this game or whatever. And you'd be surprised. Like a lot of people see these big developers and think like, they're bad people, or they're like gonna be like super serious or mysterious, or just not cool. But they're some of the most wonderful people you can meet, and they're normal people, and then you can have friend talks with them and just enjoy life. And that's what we did on the Lamborghini trip. So I really appreciate them, and it was very nice meeting them.
Usually, my idea is to now ask you a mystery question from the last guest. But given that you're the first guest, I'm just gonna ask you to leave a mystery question. Well, you just have to like, without knowing who's the next guest, leave a question, and we'll see it answered on the next one. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. See you on the next episode.
Bye bye.